Okay, now we're going to talk about this menu project. And at first, the first section of this, I'm going to talk about the setup for this project. And then we'll talk about the styling. So first thing that I want to do in InDesign is I'm going to go to Window, Workspace, Typography. And I'm actually going to go to Window, Workspace, Reset Typography to make sure it's exactly the way it would be for you. And you'll notice, first of all, that I've got a readout of a lot of the properties for things that I want to do in InDesign up at the top. And then I have a series of palettes down on the right. And probably the most important one are the paragraph styles, character, and character styles palettes. And we'll get into that as we go along. Okay, I'm going to create a new document, go to print, go to letter. I'm going to change this to inches just so it's easier to understand. 8.5 by 11, turn off facing pages. Margins are currently at 1/2 inch. Now, in this case, we are absolutely not going to bring any information up to the edge of the page. And so we're not going to set up the bleed in this document. And I'll just call this menu and click create. I could also click preview, click create, and here's my standard document. Next. To go back just for a second, this information up here at the top of the page, there is an option for character-based formatting, in which case the name of your font and the style and the size and so on are on the left-hand side of the screen, and the information for working on your paragraphs is on the right-hand side. If you have a laptop and your screen is not this wide, what will happen is that you will only see, say, the left-hand side of this. And then there is so that's the character formatting, and here's the paragraph formatting, and that brings the paragraph formatting on the left. And in actual case, at this particular screen width, we're not seeing any of the character formatting. So that control allows you to change what you can see at the top. Next, I'm going to go to my type tool, and I'm going to create a text box. And if you notice, we haven't created any columns yet on this document. What we're going to do is we're going to create those with this text box. And in order to do that, I've talked about this control in class perhaps a little bit, but it's actually really important. Under Object, there is a feature called Text Frame Options, or a palette called Text Frame Options, which is Command B. And if I bring the text frame options, I have number of columns. So I want 2 columns. I'm going to take this up to, I think I'm going to give it about that much. I'll make it 1/4 inch space. Then what I find really useful is this inset spacing. And so What this does is this will prevent the text from coming to the edge of this box. And the reason we're going to do that is that, click OK. And I'm going to take the border, go to stroke, and I'm going to set this to a thick bar. And then I think actually I'm going to change that back to thick thin. And now I have a stroke around the outside. And you'll see that when I add text in, it won't actually butt up against that stroke, creating space. Okay, so that's our basic setup. And then I'm going to go to the text tool and click here. And I'm going to bring in our type. So place. And I go to my text file. I click open. I might want to show import options. Click open. And it doesn't give me a lot of options here, but I'm going to just let it click OK. And my text comes in like this. Okay, next, we're going to do some cleanup here. So there's some spaces and some things added here, and we're going to get rid of them because we're not going to use those extra space, those extra paragraph returns. In order to do that, I'm first going to go to Type, Show Hidden Characters, and you can see now that there are paragraph returns after each one of these lines, and there's extra spaces in here, extra paragraph returns in here. And then we're going to be using tabs in this document. And we want a tab between the name of the item and the price of the item. And so we need to be able to add those. In order to do that, I'm going to show you how to do a find and replace for paragraphs. I'm going to click here at the beginning of my document. I go to edit. Let's see. Right, edit, find and change. I usually hit Command P. This will be empty when you first see it. Now these paragraphs, there's a special character in the find change that we need to use in order to delete those or change those paragraphs. And that is caret, which is Shift 6 P. That's a paragraph. And what I have here is a paragraph followed by a paragraph. And so I'm going to hit create another. So that would be 2 paragraph returns. And I'm going to change it to a single paragraph return. And if I hit change all, it tells me 13 replacements have been made. And you'll see that all those extra paragraph returns have disappeared. And usually I will click this again just to make sure, and there does not seem to be any more. Next, we want to delete this paragraph symbol and replace it with a tab. And normally we'd have to go and do that manually, but in this case, we're kind of lucky because there is this $sign here. And so what I can do, and that $sign doesn't occur anywhere else except in front of the price. And so I can create $, paragraph return, I'm sorry, I've got that backwards. Paragraph return $. And I can change it to $T, which is the tab symbol, $. So it's replacing return $, with tab $. And this is kind of advanced knowledge, but it's something that's useful to know, particularly if we had 20 pages of this, or even 5 pages of this menu, going through and having to do it all by hand. You're likely to miss things, and it's going to be slow. But now I can just hit change all, 12 replacements made, and you'll see that now I have my price and my tab and my name of the item in the tab and the price. And there's some other cleanup we can do. Generally, I will type in 2 spaces and change to 1 space, click change all. There don't seem to be any instances of that, but there almost always are in somebody's typewritten manuscript. We could also do space $P and replace it with $P, because there's almost never a reason to have a space before your paragraph return. And change all. And I found 2 instances of that. And I can delete that space and add another space behind it. There's also almost never a reason to have a space at the beginning of a line. And so change all, 0 replacements. Okay. And then finally, just for cleanliness, that's done. I'm going to come over here, and this indicator, this number sign, indicates the end of the text. And there's a return here, there, and we don't really need that return. So I'm just going to go ahead and delete it and clean that up. And so now our document is ready to be styled.